Welcome
Welcome.
to Shade and the City. I am your girl Treese,
It's Nellz.
and today we are here to. Woo! It's a lot, y'all. Look, let me in advance go ahead and say, damn it, I messed up my banner. But anyway, yeah, y'all, we're here to do Where is Wendy Williams and do a recap of the documentary that came on Lifetime. What was it,
Oh,
Saturday night?
what she say her real last name? Was it Hunter?
Oh, Wendy Hunter. I'm
We
sorry.
gon' we gonna respect her wishes. Wendy Hunter. Where is
Okay.
Wendy
But
Hunter?
as you see at the bottom of the screen, I will be flashing this trigger warning for all those who just may be triggered. I can admit I was a little bit triggered. So yeah, y'all, if it's too much, it's okay to step away. We still love you. If you still hit the like button before you leave, though, we would appreciate it. And
And
if
a
you,
subscribe button.
yeah, and then subscribe if you are enjoying. But yeah, again, for some people it was too hard for them to watch, and I completely understand. I just thought, how can we not talk about Queen of Radio, Queen of TV? This is, I think she's been an inspiration, even if you don't like her. She's been
Hmm.
an inspiration to all of us who are probably in these spaces doing what we do. So yeah, y'all, let's get into it. Where is Wendy Williams? Episodes 1 through 4, and let's get shady. So we jump into the documentary starts off where at May 2022, we know that Wendy was placed under financial guardianship by the Supreme Court of New York. Now, I wrote this down because I was like, did it get that serious that we're going to the Supreme Court for? I just feel like for things to get to the Supreme Court, that's a pretty high level. Um, the judge has sealed the case, and they by law must review the guardianship every year. So we're fast forwarding to August 2022, and Lifetime has been invited to document her comeback. She's supposed to be working on a podcast. And so they, wanted to document her journey. She says that she's happy to be free from the Wendy Williams show, so she can do things like show her boobs, which she tries to show production her boobs, and they politely decline. Um, then we then hear from her new manager, Will Selby, who Wendy introduces as her sexy best friend for life. Before we get into it, what were your first thoughts about Will?
Initially, when I first started watching it, I didn't like him.
I
Um,
didn't either. I didn't either. And I don't know if I liked him by the end, but I felt a little better, but I still don't know how to feel about him.
you know what I think? You know what I think the problem is, or why we felt better about him? We had somebody to compare him to.
Right.
In the beginning, it was like, who the hell are you? Like you know what I mean? Where the hell did you come from? And what are you doing? What is, you know what I mean? And then as we got further into it, there were other people that were probably just much worse. And then we actually saw him trying to help and trying to do things. So it made you ease up on him a little bit. But initially I didn't like him. And also I think the family was also more comfortable with him than other
Right.
people. So it made you ease up on him. So yeah, initially I thought the same.
So then we see Wendy kind of break down, and she asked him for to hug her. And then I was just like, at first I was on the fence, and I was like, are they hugging? I was on the fence, and I was like, how much work are you doing for her? Just questions. Now, Will reminds the audience all Wendy has lost in a very small amount of time. Her mother, her show, she got divorced. Little Kevin, or I shouldn't call him Little Kevin, Kevin Jr., because he ain't little no more. And he's kind of handsome. Kevin
I
Jr.
thought so too.
for
And
Kevin for Kevin Hunter to be that man daddy.
and you know
He's a
what?
handsome young man.
And you know what? In the beginning, like when we see him kind of in the beginning, he still looks different as we get to the
To
end. And I'm
right.
like, towards the end, he even looks more handsome. I was like,
Look, well, y'all
okay.
know, shout out to giving the real tea and Scotty. They was too busy looking at Travis.
The
That's,
nephew.
Travis was handsome too, though, but they had me cracking up the other day. Uh, so anyway, and she's dealing with all of these physical elements that affect her as well. So they ask her, how she feels about being talked about, and she says gorgeous and fabulous. And was so crazy, and what I thought was kind of one of the saddest parts is she has the tools and clearly has, like, I guess the confidence, I want to say, to speak life into herself, but she doesn't believe it. She doesn't receive it. So it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, even when Black China was like, "I love you," she was like, "Me too." Like, I was like, I really, but I don't know if she really believes that.
Ooh, oh, that's how you took that?
Yeah.
It's not how I took that. So the numerous times that Black China said "I love you" and she kept saying "thank you," um, and then when you say "I love you," your response is like "I love me too." Like it's not like "I love you." So I never really felt like she was actually telling Black China like "I
No,
love
no,
you."
no. That's what I'm saying. She was
Oh, you
saying
mean
it to
oh,
herself. And that's why I was saying,
oh
you she
you
clearly thinks that, but she does not believe that, if that makes sense. Like, you can be like, "Oh, I'm a baddie. I feel like this," or did it or whatever, but if you don't really believe it,
I believe Wendy loves herself. I believe she loves herself. I think she's just having some things that like I mean even with her emphysema, like I think like she's
yeah.
trying to make a joke out of it because she's embarrassed about it. Like it's there's things that she's going through that she's never had to deal with. You know, she's this huge personality, this larger than life personality, and now she has these things knocking her down that of course is going to make you feel some type of insecurity. um so I think that's what she's dealing with. I think she's dealing with the insecurities, but I think she still loves herself.
All right. So basically, Wendy lets us know she has been the way she has been since she was 6 years old. She says she never wanted to be wealthy. She just always wanted to be famous. They asked, why
Yeah,
about the whole money
nasty
situation,
both.
right? They ask her why she can't get to her money. And basically, she warns that if it can happen to her, it can happen to any of us. And apparently, I will say from watching this, I learned that these guardianships and conservatorships happen a lot more than we actually think. So, and to people that don't even have this level of money. So she talks about, as Nell said, the lymphedema. And, apparently we see a scene where they're doing a photo shoot and they're trying to decide or not whether they should crop her feet out of the photo. Wendy says that she can only feel 2% in her feet and starts sobbing and admits that basically she should be in a wheelchair. Production then wants to ask her about her substance abuse issues, and she admits that she loves vodka. She says her sister Wanda wants her to stop drinking, and they ask her why she thinks Wanda wants her to stop. And Wendy says she's not sure. She doesn't know. And so, which is crazy because Wanda said it, Kevin, but okay. Um,
I didn't know if that was a true answer, if that was the aphasia.
Okay, so Will says that he's there to help Wendy clean up her image. She's coming back with the podcast. Production tells her they think some people are worried about losing her and asks if she can understand that love that her friends and her family have for her. And she tells them to move on to the next question. And so she is then admitted to a wellness facility in Malibu after filming. Yeah, it's pretty bad. Um, and then the 2 months after filming, they bring her back home under the care of her guardianship. Production was told that she was doing better and they were invited back to film, which was approved by her management and the guardianship. This is where I started to look at the family too, but we'll get into that because I was like, I kind of agree with them. It seems like they just keep propping her up to go back to work, go back to work. We see Wendy looking better, but looking like, again, my opinion, forgive me, my notes say it looks like she was on something. Okay, now that we know Graves' disease, the eyes bulging, whatever, and everything else she has going on, I have a difference of opinion. But when I sat down and I first watched it, I said, she looks wired, like something's going on. So anyway, they asked her why she's doing this, and she said because she wanted to do something different as a woman in her 50s. And they asked her what she doesn't like to be, basically questions she doesn't like being asked while being interviewed. And she tells them that nothing's off limits. They show her footage of them asking about how her sister feels about her drinking, and she starts to tear up and says that there are tears of joy, but says she would have preferred different wigs and wardrobe during that scene. And that's when I was like, either there's a big disconnect, or again, and I honestly feel like that's why they released the statement about her health before this came out, because as Nellz knows, but and I share with anybody, um, but I have had family that have deteriorated from dementia, and I immediately, as soon as it turned on, I was like, oh, absolutely, her behavior, her erratic behavior, and her lashing out. I was like, oh, that's absolutely what this is. Um, and so I'm just happy that they said it, so we didn't have to sit here and guess and play guessing games the whole documentary. Because again, I feel like once they said that, it summed up a lot of her behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So, the Lifetime tried to speak with the Wendy's advocate and the Garden, that both declined to be interviewed or comment on her health. Wendy said that they go to a doctor's appointment. She says she has to be seen by three doctors. One is only for, I guess, her thyroid that she's dealing with. The other two, I guess, are to check her cognitive, or I guess there's a therapist, and she doesn't feel she needs to see a therapist. And basically, they're trying to prove that she's crazy, and she's really just seeing them because her money is at Wells Fargo. And they want to know, why did you go to the wellness center? And she said that she didn't know, but that Will just took her there, and she starts to get irritated. And Will explains that he took her there so that she could rest. And Wendy feels like, she could have rested where she was. She didn't need to go nowhere else. And he brings up how she's not eating, she's not sleeping, and basically not taking care of herself. So he felt like she needed a break. And Wendy's not trying to hear that. And says that she's very healthy. So there's clear
But
denial.
apparently, I think before he took her, she was like at risk of um being unalived, right?
Expiring, yes.
Expiring, yeah.
So then we see Wendy visiting her a friend of Will's who happens to be a trainer. She's giving him the business. Yeah, he basically says he would need 8 to 12 weeks and need to see her 3 to 4 times a day. Times a week, in order to basically see any progress. And when she tries to he tries to help the lady into the car, and she pushes him out the way so she can get her photo op.
She said, "You ain't getting in the picture with me. You ain't get no airtime, no photo time." Mm-mm.
She said, "No clout for me, boo boo. I am Wendy." Okay.
Mm-mm.
Then they interviewed DJ Booth. We knew that they'd been longtime friends. He was the DJ in the
I
show.
felt so bad with this one.
I know. And so he was there when she fainted on air. He says that after that, she started to discuss a little more on the show what was going on with her health. And then basically, we see Will trying to make sure she's looking good before her interviews. And he said, when he met Wendy, they met when they were out partying. And he used to sell her jewelry. And then after her divorce, he became her manager. And that's when I was like, that's a real different career move. Like, that's what they say. It's all in who you know.
The publicist trying to move into the manager role.
Y'all, I don't know why she's starting this early, because she know if y'all gonna get a rant, it's gonna be about that damn publicist. Please know that, okay? So then they're trying to show Wendy an outfit, and she wants to repeat the Chanel that she had on the day before. I can understand, Chanel is nice, some Chanels are nice. And so then she's she's
This
being
Chanel
all
is
nasty.
nice.
But what got me was how nasty she was being to the stylist. And then the stylist, basically is like, Wendy, you're being rude, and that's not necessary. So they excuse her, and then she tells Will she doesn't really care for her. Will says that this is a typical day with Wendy, and one day she
Girl,
likes,
some days you do and some days you don't.
right. We then see her getting her nails done.
This is where I
And
felt bad.
she calls the nail tech stupid. And this one, I was like, all right, again, because I know and I've seen it, but I was just like, if you're not if I don't have that love for you, like a family member, I can't, because I just couldn't. But
So
everybody that is around her seems like they have very tough skin and they just let it roll off.
maybe because I was under the impression that the therapist that he's worked with her before, I felt like they had worked together before, and the stylist have worked with her before. I think I kind of was under the impression that they kind of knew what to expect from her, like with her up and down and hot and cold.
Hmm.
But so for the woman that was doing her nails, that's really the only person I felt bad for, because she actually introduced herself, and she was actually being nice initially, trying to get to know her, and then with the two coats thing, um, she was like, "What are you, stupid? I told you." Like, I was just like,
Oh no, let's add insult to injury. Then she says Wendy realizes after she calls her stupid that the girl is disgusted with her, and you could have seen in the girl's face. She
yeah,
was
she's like, she's
disgusted.
disgusted with me.
And she says, but she doesn't care because she's young and she will learn.
Yeah, that was the only one I actually felt bad for, because I
I
knew
said she gonna stand 10 toes down. So Will then defends her rudeness and says that she just changes day to day and he isn't sure how to explain it. Now, this is when I started to get mad at Will. There's clearly issues with her. I understand Wendy is who she is. She might be sharp with her tongue. She's always been that person. But I think that, just like the family was saying, you're clearly in denial. This is happening right in front of your face.
but you also said it was dementia. So I
Okay.
mean, we can't just say, "Oh yeah, she's being sharp with her tongue." This is something she's going through, and she still needs people to work for her.
Right. But she also don't need to be, again, trying to go out and work nowhere. They need to be focusing on her health. That's
I'm talking about the people that's work, the therapist, the
uh
stylist, and the person that's doing her nails. These are people
yeah,
that
no, I get what you're saying. She still needs somebody to work with.
are. Mhm.
So
And I mean, it's something, but yeah, this is the profession you chose, and not everybody's going to be pleasant.
that's true. So then we'll ask her why she started using the powder. And she says that she wanted to experience everything, and she had planned to quit, in her 50s, which technically she kind of did. He asked her if it was an experience that turned into a habit, and she honestly isn't sure. She says she stopped because she wanted to have a baby, and she said she even gave her body a year to recover before even trying. And then, as we know, a part of her story, if you haven't seen the first documentary that they did on her, she did have two miscarriages before she successfully conceived Kevin Jr. And basically, I can understand that's why Kevin Jr. is her all end all be all. I totally understand. Then they interviewed Travis. I don't know why his name is Trey in my notes, but his name is Travis. Okay. So if I end up calling him Trey, I just named him that. I apologize. So he used to live with Wendy while in college, and he said every day she would go into her room with a bottle and a vape pen, and they wouldn't see her till 5 a.m. Wendy's lifelong friend Regina speaks about talking to Wendy or talking to Wendy about, how Kevin would be out with the mistress, Sharina. And once things started to hit the
Oh, she
tabloids,
got a name?
maybe we shouldn't give her a name, but she does have a name.
Potato salad.
But one potato salad, you stupid. And once things started to hit the tabloids, she believed Wendy started to drink more to deal with the pain. So Travis, I'm sorry, I told y'all. Travis reveals that but the show wanted her to be in New York, so she had to address her health issues on TV. We know she admitted to living in a sober house. Regina recalls the time Wendy called her from the sober house to discuss Kevin's baby being born. I can only imagine. I mean, every time, I don't care what you feel about her or if you feel it's just her karma or whatever. I don't think anybody deserves that. I don't think anybody deserves that. Um, and basically, Travis believes her decline happened after the divorce. He said he wasn't Kevin's biggest fan, but at least he made sure she showed up to work sober and ready to perform. What we're not going to do is make Kevin no hero, okay? Because not saying that he was clearly she had an issue with alcohol.
If my only job was to get your ass up for work so I can get paid, I'm gonna do it.
Right. But not even that. I was listening to somebody talk about how sometimes even dementia and just a lot of these things can be trauma can actually cause that as well. And
Mhm.
so if you think about all the things they said she'd been through before she really, really started to decline, I can only what I'm saying is Kevin don't deserve no awards because I do believe that what he did was partially played a part
Yeah,
in why
we don't
she
want to
was
we don't
behind.
want to put the blame, but
Yeah,
I mean, we just saying that she was drinking a hell of a lot more and stuff. That's
right,
around
right.
what you found out, and this is alcohol induced.
Well, not even that. He wasn't even home to know when she was or was not drinking.
This is alcohol induced dementia. So
Right.
we're not blaming nobody, but we ain't
Okay.
pointing no fingers. Maybe some fans, but we ain't pointing no fingers.
So then production, she happens to be filming in Kevin's robe. And they're like, you don't think that's weird? And she said it doesn't bother her to wear it, and says, her divorce wasn't difficult at all. Her advice is that women need to grow up fast and also not be so fast to get married. I said, okay, girl. DJ Booth talks about how Kevin's cheating really broke her down, because he was her protector. And then, unfortunately, once Kevin left, he had to play that, fill his shoes and play that role. He talks about how during the vid, he became the entire production crew for Wendy during the pandemic, and that isolation made things worse for her. He said there were times she would, show no emotion or drift off during filming. He does express his concern for her drinking habits and says her going to the hospital was her lowest point. May 2020, it was reported that Wendy was found unresponsive in her apartment and was taken to the hospital for an emergency involving alcohol. Travis confirms DJ Booth was there and that he called them crying, or called him and Kevin crying, saying Wendy was going to expire and she needed help. Kevin then called an ambulance and Wendy was given 3 blood transfusions. DJ Booth said he went to visit her at the hospital and says that Wendy didn't appear to be the same person. The fall of 2020, Wendy is set to come back on her show along with DJ Booth, but he declined to return um, due to her not being who she once was. They show her first interview back, and I'm not gonna lie, this is when I like. There was a lot of parts of this documentary that I felt bad and sad. It's the Pisces, the empath in me. But because I think I stopped watching her towards like latter years, and just to see her up there and like she was talking about something random about the cats or something like that in the middle of while she was interviewing this lady.
I see a phaser.
And I said, oh my God. Then they interview her niece, Alex, which I love. Some people may disagree, but I think Alice is actually probably one of her best advocates. She agrees Wendy isn't the same. She said that Wendy's mother picked up on it while she was watching Wendy on TV. And she told her basically to always have her aunts back. And that was their last conversation before her grandmother passed away. She said that Wendy and her mom were very close and often fell asleep talking to each other on the phone. Her friend Regina says that, her mother's passing really impacted her. And she wasn't able to mourn because she was working. She filmed her last show July 21 of 2021. The production company had concerns about her health during the break, and that's when they started bringing on guest hosts. Travis talks about visiting her and says Wendy was in such a bad state that basically she was expiring. Um, so they took her back to Florida. Trey says she was getting better. She was completely sober. They said she was on a vegan diet, working with a personal trainer, and spending every day with her son. And then production and her friend Regina were all looking for Wendy, so they decided to cancel the show because nobody, I guess, could get in touch with her, didn't know where she was. And Alex shares the moment when she had to basically break down and tell Wendy that her show was canceled. Wendy was in disbelief, and Alex said that it actually took months for her to understand what was going on. And then the show producers, they declined to comment basically the whole thing. They said it ain't got nothing to do with us. So Wendy is hopeful to prepare her relationship with her son, Kevin, but said that he hates liquor. And they asked her when she likes to drink, and she said she likes to drink when she wants to. Now, I will say that we'll get there, but that mimosa was huge. She says that she and Kevin have the best time, and I bet it was mainly champagne or whatever.
Like the way I like mine, just a splash of juice.
I don't think you drink out of a glass that big
I would.
or that full.
Would.
You stupid.
I ain't got to refill it.
You stupid. So yeah, basically they're supposed to. She said her and Kevin have the best time, and she can't wait to see him Then we finally get around to interviewing Kevin Jr. He doesn't really want to be filmed, but says he was told this would be about his mother getting better. So he decided to participate. He says he hasn't seen her in 8 months since she was in Florida, but said while she was there, she was getting better. And they were trying to show her that she's more than just a talk show host. They asked why she came back to New York, and Travis revealed that she was summoned to court and legally removed from the care of her son and the rest of the family. Kevin thinks that Wendy just needs to be with, be with them. However, no matter how many times she falls, he believes that, his mama can get back up again. I'm not going to sing the song, but y'all know where I'm going with this. Now, we see Wendy in the mirror getting emotional because she has a thigh gap. I just thought that was cute. I was like, okay, Wendy, because she really doesn't have a thigh. So I thought that was yeah.
She actually did have a thigh gap. I can see it.
Right. So they ask her if she's supporting Kevin Jr. and she gets insulted by this question and kicks production out. And she gets emotional about having so much money and just wants it for her son. What were your thoughts? That was just part one.
I think part of the reason why she got emotional is because when they put her money on lock, she wasn't able to do for him. It affected him as well.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't think that had anything to do with the way the guy was asking the question. I just think that's what triggered her.
I think what it was for her, because they talk about later on about how, well, he was misusing money or whatever. I think in Wendy's mind, because he said I didn't do it without her consent, I think in Wendy's mind, because I have heard other people say this online, people felt like he was being a spoiled rich kid and using his mother's card and, and being extra with it. But my whole thing is Wendy is extra. So to expect her son, who she's raised to be spoiled, not to have that same. And it was in the middle of the demic. So of course, because they said he spent like 100,000 or something like that at Uber Eats later on in the documentary or something like that.
Look, he's a vegan. That's cost. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I said, it'd be different if he was ordering steak frites, but no, he's eating vegan food.
He's vegan. You know what? To me, it kind of bothered me when they did talk about how he was spending her money or whatever. Because to me, honestly, and I know this is not like every parent, but if your kid is spending your money and you got it, whether they ask you or not, why would you give a damn?
And I think that's what made her upset. What she worked so hard for was so he could, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So he could spend 100,000 on Uber Eats
and not think twice about it.
He ain't out here spending on strippers. He going to school. He doing what he need to do.
Okay.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. It bothered me when they was talking about how he was spending them. I'm like, that's her son. If anybody's supposed to spend it.
I agree. So then we get into episode 2, y'all. They take Wendy over here to Asbury Park, New Jersey for her upcoming. They're doing a photo shoot for her upcoming podcast. She sees a photo of herself on a wall in like an arcade that she doesn't even remember taking, but it gives her a little moment, quick nostalgia. They also took her to Wendy Williams Way, where she used to live. One of the neighbors has to come out and correct her on the house she actually lived in. So then she's greeted by more of her local hometown fans who, show her lots of love, which makes Wendy happy, of course, because we know she loves the fame of it all. And then they finally actually make it to her childhood home, and she sits in the house, and they remind her of all she's accomplished since leaving there. Do you think that was right to televise that?
There's
I mean, there's a lot. Let's just be real.
There's a lot of stuff on here.
This whole thing probably shouldn't have been televised. Right? There is a reason why the Guardian tried to stop this before.
I'm like, what type of question is this? Because there's a lot of stuff on here that shouldn't have been televised.
Right. But because a lot of people felt like it was an intimate moment that, she should have had, and I can understand that. But again, like as we said, there was a lot of things that shouldn't have been televised in this documentary. Okay, we'll leave it there. So then they interviewed her father, and basically he always knew that she was going to be great and going to be famous, and she always reminded him and told him of that. Her brother speaks on memories of Wendy claiming to be the Queen of New York. She tells Will that she wants to be back on TV. And Will comes in, and Wendy is just like laid up in bed randomly in this particular scene, and just has money laid out. And Will's like, "Well, what are you doing? Why didn't you put the money in the bank?" And production is asking, "Are you afraid that the bank is going to?" And then we learn that he set up a separate account for her, um, because obviously the situation with Wells Fargo.
How
What?
do you feel about Wells Fargo saying sure
Don't
you
do
got?
that. Don't do that. She know I bank there. That's why she asking me
I
that.
know a few
But
people that bank there, and I know Wells Fargo to be some crooks. It ain't just
yeah,
me. Everybody and their mama
it
know Wells
definitely,
Fargo
it
some crooks.
definitely, it definitely got me wanting to move my money. I say that definitely got, or have more than one account. Um, but anyway,
She
so
said I had millions and now I ain't got nothing.
they released a statement from Wells Fargo in 2022, who believed Wendy was being financially exploited. Regina says, to her understanding, Wells Fargo froze her account. The attorney for Wells Fargo requested guardianship and asked that the documents be sealed so there's no public access to the court records. Now, I thought that was really interesting because they're sealed. So that, how does anybody investigate whether this is right? Like, at least if I'm not mistaken, with Britney's situation, it was kind of public, so we were able to see what actually this entailed, to be like, this is wrong. We don't even know, you know what I'm saying? I do think that's super, like, that's crazy to me. My family can't know. I don't even really know what's going on. Travis and Kevin dispute that there was any wrongdoing on the family's part, and Wells Fargo maintains they were acting in the financial interests of Wendy. Kevin says that his mom isn't a cheap person, and they had that the impression that Kevin was spending this money. He denies taking any money without his mother's consent. The court thought she needed a third party and sign her and an independent guardian to manage her money, and that's how we ended up here.
Well,
And then
wait a minute. Why are y'all worried about my money? If I want to go broke, let me go broke.
that part. Then Travis tells a story of Wendy being in court and saying she wanted whoppers and liquor. And when they asked if she wanted Kevin there, she said no. This had me damn near in tears. Just to hear that story. Like, that and I'm, again, trigger warning, because I'm, if you have family members with addictions and shit like that, the fact that she was willing to, like, no, I just rather have liquor and bad food than have my son enforce these rules. It just felt crazy. Travis believes it's because Kevin didn't allow her to do things that she wanted to do. And, Kevin eventually felt like he was being pushed away by his mom. Will questions, and now we see Will is questioning Wendy if she's ate anything. And then he finds a bottle in her room. I think it wasn't empty, but it was damn near empty. And I think he poured the rest out. Then he tries to explain that basically that's not a good idea. And when he tries to take it, she tells him to keep it there. Obviously, he doesn't listen. He throws it away, but feels like Wendy will find a way to drink. So what I'm getting is he was hired to watch over her or manage her.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that I did notice collectively throughout the whole documentary was everybody kept saying she needs 24-hour care, like around the clock. Especially in the big, she needs somebody to watch her. And I think what it is I'm just your manager. He feels like he got to go do,
Well,
and
I'm
I'm
sure he has a life outside of
yeah,
this.
yeah, I understand. But what I'm saying is, so how are you the right person for the job?
Well, he didn't appoint himself.
I don't know. I don't know.
That's something you should be asking the courts, the Supreme Courts.
Right. So then they show a scene with her speaking with Kevin on the phone. Kevin Jr. believes that his mom was very generous to make up for her alcoholism and basically not being present. He says her addiction has so much control over her life that if anyone is against it, she'll remove it. So they asked Travis about all the headlines about Wendy, and the family discussing how hard it is to watch from afar all these stories that came out about her. And then Alex actually gets emotional, just being concerned that one day she's going to Google and the wrong story is going to come out that she doesn't want to see. And so then they're asking Wendy why she wants to do this podcast. And she says money. And, Will says they're ready to go, but they're waiting for the right deal. So then they call. This is when we get introduced. Woo, to Sean. I don't even know her last name. Don't want to know it. Don't care for it. Okay.
Zanotti?
Zanotti. Yes.
Because I remember her calling her by her last name.
Yeah. So we get introduced to Zanotti. And she's supposed to be, helping the, publicize Wendy, and she's asking for a date for the podcast. There isn't one yet. And basically she explains that she needs something to go back to the media with, and they need to line up interviews. Wendy, I thought it was, this is how I knew, and this is not trying to be shady. When they were asking her possible people she wanted to interview with, and the first name she threw out is Puff Daddy, I said, she can't be in her right mind. I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm not. But that was the one moment. That was the one moment I kind of like smiled, because I was like, everybody knows you and Diddy's beef goes back so far. If y'all remember the history of the story, Kevin was hired because she needed protection from Diddy after talking about him. So I don't understand. I just thought, I was like, oh yeah, she's not there. But anyway,
have an interview. It'll get everybody in an uproar.
She knows. And then said Kiki Shepard. I'm not trying to be mean. What has Kiki Shepard done outside of the Apollo? Besides this. That's all I've ever seen her do. I'm sorry, y'all. No shade to Kiki Shepard. Anyway, so Will thinks that, they may mess up their potential deal shooting a pilot, but the publicist disagrees. So Wendy says she wanted to see her tomorrow and abruptly ended their call. They asked Will if they think Wendy is ready, and his rebuttal is, have you seen her the past 2 days? Do you think she's ready? And I'm like, no, they asked you. Okay? Don't try to know. They asked you that question. Production points out that Wendy actually seems to be struggling to express herself. And he says that Wendy does this in her sleep, and he has no doubts. And that's when I said, it's the denial of it all for me. So then we see Wendy out and about, and she talks about wanting to have friends. And Will tries to convince her that she knows several people. And Wendy doesn't believe that. She says, no one tries to. I thought this was sad. She was like, no one tries to exchange phone numbers with me or ask me what I'm doing the next day. And then Wendy orders a wine, and Will steps in and actually tells the restaurant to not give her any alcohol. And basically he lets us know that he is trying to adhere to Kevin Jr.'s request to not have any alcohol around her. So then Wendy goes on a rant about her family. And then when Will asks if she wants to go, she acts like she can't. Or he's asking her if she wants to go back to Miami, and she acts like she can't. So then Kevin Jr. brings up, basically Wendy has a pattern of this self-sabotage anytime anybody wants to help her. And then when production asks her about her addiction, she says that she drinks because she can, and then goes off about Will pouring out her alcohol. We see Will canvassing. This is how you know it's bad. We see Will canvassing the apartment looking for hiding spots for Wendy's bottles. She tells her publicist she needs
the hotel, right?
No, this is before the hotel. This is just her house. So then
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, because he did it twice, and that's why I was like, oh, this is really bad. So then Zanotti shows up. She's there, and basically she tells Zanotti she needs lipo, but she loves her hair and her face. That's nice, but she needs lipo. Wendy starts to go off about Will controlling her drinking, smoking.
Wait. That who needs lipo?
Zanotti.
She told Zanotti that she needs lipo.
To her face.
Up to her face. This is the Wendy we know and love.
Right. I couldn't blame that on the facial. I didn't. I said that's just Wendy right there. So look, and then she tried to throw a compliment. You need lipo, but your face and your hair, I love it. So
didn't really blend, but
You stupid. Oh, that wasn't.
The leave out. You didn't.
You know, I'd be mistaken. That wasn't her hair. You know, I'd be having trouble telling. You know, I'd be having trouble telling. That wasn't Sonati's hair.
Yes. You didn't see that leave out.
I thought she just had a big, beautiful, like. I swear, I thought that was her hair. I swear, I
No,
thought that
the
was
leave
her hair.
out stopped right here. The leave out stopped right here. The curl pattern wasn't even the same.
Look, this is why I can't be a man because a bitch be able to fool me any day. Okay.
They are able to
So
fool you.
yeah, so Travis said he would realize that she was losing a lot of weight or whatever. She then tells Zanati to go downstairs and order something that will make her fatter, and she happily agrees.
This is why Zanati needs lipo because I'm sure she's ordering for herself as well.
Well, you know, it's again this. I'm not gonna lie to you, and I know people are gonna say, oh, she had she had dementia and whatever. But when I saw that scene, to me, the first thing I said, oh, that's how we know you're a pick me. That's how we know, because there were other people that worked for Wendy that still was like, okay, look, you ain't gonna be rude to me. You're not gonna be disrespectful. Like, and I just felt like the fact that she was just like, okay, let's go order this food. I was just like, oh yeah, you're a pick me.
No, that's her friend.
That's getting paid anyway. So we see Wendy disrespecting her driver now, and he says he's been fired twice. Once because she wanted alcohol and he wouldn't provide it. The publicist tries to get her a vape, and she gets upset and tells her to take it back because it's not the right one, and don't take too long doing it. And so then the driver tells her, this is where we've always gotten it. She's like, no, go past the Wendy Williams show. And you actually see them drive past the Wendy Williams show right back to where the hell they were in the first place. And she's still, no, this isn't it. And then finally the girl comes back. She's like, look, or Zanati, she comes back. She's like, this is all they got, Wendy. Production steps in and said, Wendy, we done for the day. We ain't gonna keep circling the block like this. We're done. So Zanati comes back, gives her the stuff, and then she actually ends up apologizing to her because I think she realized at that point, like, oh, this was what I was asking for. And the driver says that, this is on a daily basis and it's a lot. And he basically feels like Wendy's losing her memory. And then here comes Sean, Zanati. They give her a moment and they ask her thoughts on Wendy. She denies anything is wrong and that Wendy is Wendy. And she doesn't think that she has a problem. And my notes say she's an enabler. Okay. Very much so. And then we see that Wendy was supposed to have this fashion, sell off her fashions, but her health isn't doing that great. They alert management. Will comes in to check on her. She's knocked out sleep. Cats are everywhere throwing up. So they have to reschedule her appointment. And then when Will comes to wake her up and tells her she needs to be up in an hour, Wendy wants to go out for a drink. So they basically ask him, do you think that Wendy had been drinking? And he's in denial. Wendy does come to apologize, and he admits he has concerns about her mental health, but doesn't want to ask because he's scared to know. And I said, this is just all terrible. Because at the end of the day, the people that are supposed to be helping her, no one's really helping her because nobody wants to know the truth. Because to Alex's point, everybody's getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, we're going to try to wrap this up. We're on part 3 now. So Alex flies in to see Wendy based on her erratic behavior. She's excited to see her aunt and just speaks so highly of her. She gets emotional just discussing how in awe she is of her. And then we actually learn that Alex is a news anchor down in Miami and a reporter. So we obviously know that's how much influence Wendy had over her life.
It's so funny because her voice actually kind of sounds like it, don't it?
I can see, yeah. When she said, I said, okay, I can definitely see it. So they before the scene, before she walks into Wendy's apartment, they're asking her like, oh, well, how does Wendy normally greet you? And she's just like, oh, with hugs, and there's something in the fridge, and just very welcoming. And when she walks into the apartment, I did think this was sad. Wendy's just mad that she can't get the TV working.
Is it
So
wrong that I felt like she should have tried to help her with the TV?
no, because I think Alex was there on business. She was there to stand on
I
business.
I get that, but we family, and I'm telling you, I need help with my TV. And once you,
No, because she was trying to watch TV so she could ignore her, and I think Alex knew that, and she wasn't going to give her a reason or a distraction to ignore her because she did that in another scene too, where she said, "Can you
that's
move
true.
out?"
She did.
Yeah.
You're true. That's true.
So then Wendy reveals she's planning on moving to a one-story flat because of her feet. She also brings up the how, oh, you've never met Zanati. And she talks about her that she has no more money in her account and she believes her guardian stole from her account. Then Sean comes in, introduces herself. Alex wants to know who she is and how she got involved with Wendy. And Sean explains she was hired by lawyers to come in and do crisis PR for Wendy about the Wells Fargo situation. So then Alex walks out because she's not interested in having a conversation with Sean sitting there. Sean comes to try and talk with Alex, and Alex lets her know, I'm not interested. What didn't you understand when I got up off the couch? So finally, Sean agrees to leave, and Alex says she doesn't need her fake ass, to speak with her aunt. So Alex asks Wendy, is she paying Sean to be her friend? I said, damn. Then Wendy says she pays her for PR, but her job became much more because she understands finance. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Alex gave it to her. She brings up the random people that are around Wendy and basically tells her paying for friends gives desperate energy. I said, damn. And basically tells Wendy she's bigger and better than that and tells her that, she has yes men around her. And Wendy says she understands and then tells production she's done for the day and walks off. And so Alex is just concerned, obviously, about the people that are around Wendy and says that she's tried to speak to the guardian, but, they're very closed off with her. And then Wendy hit us with the surprise. And she done jumped on a plane with Zanati to LA without management's knowledge, guardian's knowledge, and they're calling her, trying to figure out what she's doing, where she at. And it sounded like she had appointments or something. Because he was like, oh, you knew we had this to do. And so finally, Will calls her and he's like, I'm not sure what to tell the guardian because nobody told me this was happening. She tells him she'll be back in 3 weeks, and she reveals that she flew with Sean, the black girl. Will loses his mind and tells Wendy to get her ass back to New York tomorrow. And then Sean calls. What?
It was just I'll be back in 3 weeks. Get your ass back here tomorrow.
Right. Then Sean calls Will and says Wendy called her because she said she had no food and was asking for her to come help. And so Will says the guardian already texted him asking if Wendy was in LA and he doesn't know what to say. And now he feels like, they think he can't be trusted. But now he's looking at Sean sideways like, I'm trying to do what's best for her. And I know you ain't because you will pick me and you're going to let her do whatever she want to do. So that's not in her best interest.
Your ass.
And then, this is another thing that made me so mad with this Zanati girl. Wendy, they're in LA. Wendy comes out in these shorts and these boots with the fur. And Sean tells her she looks great. Maybe that's why she stressed your makeup looks great. Maybe it's just why she said your makeup. Because she clearly didn't mean the outfit. I'm sorry. I'm not. Y'all know what it is over here. Okay.
She loved it. She wanted to wear it to the what? The Oscars? Or the
Yes. She lets her know that NBC just recently got back with her and wants to meet with them. So Wendy says yes, she wants to take the meetings and wants to take production along. Wendy's spirits, I will say, they seem to be lifted by this news. On their way, she tells production that she refuses to shoot a show in Miami. The show has to be in New York. They ask her if she knows where she is, and she said yes, California. So then they ask her why her show ended. And she said because she wanted to see her family and she was done. They bring up the alleged reports from members of production from her show and how they spoke negatively about Wendy. Production asked her nephew, Travis, if he thinks Wendy is well enough to work, and he doesn't think so. And as I stated before, the family thinks she's being pushed to do more, for other people's pockets. And then Wendy tells production she wants a new manager, and Sean thinks that she could potentially do this job. And so then Nell's favorite part, they do take her down to the Hollywood Walk of Fame so she could see her star. She shares her memories of when she received it, and I'm not gonna lie, it was a sweet moment. I look at this Walk of Fame differently now that I know that they pay for it. But she said it meant a lot to her because it would be there forever. We then see her greeted by fans walking by and taking pictures. And I don't know if y'all noticed, they seemed like they were just really getting ready to walk by and just be like, "Hey, Wendy, whatever." And I could tell you could just tell she was longing for them to just come back and be like, "Oh, can we get a picture?" And you know what I mean? Like, you can just really tell that she thrives off that attention. And I was just
I
like, "Dang."
I think that's why I loved it, because when she got it, you could really just see how much it like lift her spirits. Like
Right.
I really did love that scene.
But and then basically once they leave the Walk of Fame, they go out for lunch, and before their meeting, and she orders a Grey Goose cocktail. Will calls her and she puts him on speaker, doesn't say much, but rudely hangs up. And Will already knows that, she's out there drinking. So, and at this point, I think she did have two, which I'm not judging nobody's intake, but when we know what she has the issues that she has, and Sean just sitting there on her phone, just drinking her water. I said, "You ain't shit." I'm sorry. I really did not see it for Sean. Drop in the comments. Y'all may disagree. Say, "Oh, that's not her responsibility." But I'm going to tell you, if I knew I had someone around me with that level of addiction, I am not going to sit by and be like, "Oh, yeah, girl, turn my head to that." No, I'd be like, "All right, girl, if I had got to get up and leave and let you finish your drink alone." But what I'm not going to do is be a witness and be complicit in the bullshit. That's what I'm not going to do. All right. So then we did hear rumors about Wendy falling asleep in the Louis V store because she had too much champagne to drink, um, which that's obviously very unfortunate. And so basically, they asked Sean, like, "Do you think it's a good idea for her to be drinking?" She's still in denial, and bring up clear moment. They bring up clear moments of Wendy forgetting words or even where she is. Sean just seems to think people forget things. Although she hasn't spoken to anyone on her medical team, she believes Wendy is bouncing back. And so, what we do know,
Oh, and then and let it be known that she hasn't spoken to anybody on her medical team, but made a statement like that. What type of PR person are you?
and me and Nellz was saying that for someone who does PR, she can't think she's getting any jobs after this. Because the way you made yourself look, you're going to need your own crisis PR. I wouldn't hire you. I'm just saying. But anyway, so yeah, so basically, then the Oscars come up, like Nellz is talking about. She's actually thinking about taking Wendy to the Oscars in this condition. They have their meeting. Wendy says that everything went great. NBC declined to comment, but Wendy never received an offer. She wants to go get back to New York to sell her apartment. And so then we see Will. They meet up with her and Sean, and he said that she acted innocent in the whole situation and act like she have no part in it. It was just Wendy. And he said that the guardian is just concerned as he is, and basically doesn't even know who Sean is. He says Sean's decision to take Wendy to that meeting was stupid as hell, and says Wendy has been nuts since she came back because she believes that she has a show coming in LA. And basically, Wendy's family keeps reiterating the same thing. She doesn't need to be working. She needs to be home, be with her family and people who want to take care of her. And we all know that at this point, Kevin Jr. is just afraid that if something doesn't change, she's going to expire. All right, here we are, part 4. Almost there, y'all. So then, Angela White. I want to refer to her as her government name now, formerly known as Black China. Okay. She comes to visit Wendy. She said they had their beef in the past, but the first thing Wendy wants to do is show China her feet. Wendy then snatches off her wig. China tells her she still looks beautiful. I thought this was such a sweet moment. She gives Wendy her flowers for always putting in her place in a motherly way. Wendy tells, look, I'm telling her I'm gonna call her by name, and I'm calling her China. But Wendy tells Angela that her real name is Wendy Hunter, and she's divorced, and Kevin has no money. And I said, well, you better tell.
Right.
Look, I might not got none, but you know that don't. Angela just embraces her and tells her everything will be fine, and basically tells her that she loves her. And that's the part that we were talking about where Wendy says, well, I love, she didn't say I love me too, but she said I do too, meaning she loves herself.
Mhm.
um, but I thought this was a really sweet moment. And then we see Wendy getting ready to fly out to visit her family in Miami. And she reminisces on how she paid for her parents' first apartment at 27. I was like, okay, kudos. Talk about accolades. All right. Then they talk about Kevin, how he hates her love for liquor. Her management finds her throwing up in the bathroom, and Will is hopeful she will be sober up before she gets to Miami. Kevin Jr. is hopeful that he can be a part of her healing journey, and the family agree they want her there so she can get better. Uh, then they get to the hotel once they get to Miami, and this is what Nellz was talking about earlier, where we see Will has to scope the room out, making sure there's no mini bar, there's no type of remnants left in the fridge or anything from anybody else before allowing Wendy to check in, and then even goes as far as to call room service or call down to the front desk and let them know that absolutely no alcohol should be
Even if
ordered.
the president calls and requests it up here,
Right.
the answer is no.
And then we see Wendy having lunch with Kevin Jr. and Travis. Um, Will is trying to ask her what happened last time she was in Florida. Wendy doesn't want to talk about it. Um, Kevin Jr. says that he was told by a doctor that Wendy had an alcohol induced dementia. They show footage of Wendy looking much healthier while with her family in Florida. And I will say that I think they did that, added those videos for a reason. I'm sure that was those were like videos that Kevin took of while they were, together while she was down there. But I'm glad that they added that footage because it really does speak to where her headspace was while she was down there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so regardless of whether people want to say, "Oh, her family was using her," da, 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 if her family was using her money to make sure that she was the person that she was that we saw in that video,
I'm
let
sure
them
it was cheaper than keeping her in an inpatient facility and having to pay for
right.
all these people that's always around her.
So basically, Wendy stayed, as we know, until Florida until she was ordered to return to court, and then the guardianship took over. Wendy's waiting 40 minutes for Kevin and Travis to show up, but they eventually do walk in. He says he's late because of school. There's an awkward silence, and she tells him that she's filming a podcast at the moment. Kevin thinks that, she looks like she needs a break. She's looking very thin and, just not very healthy. And then she tells him about her new show coming up, and then she just starts rambling about nothing. I tried to catch what she was talking, but it was so all over the place that I said I just it's rambling. Um, and basically, Travis feels like people are taking advantage of Wendy. Wendy is still telling Alex that she's gonna start her show in September. Alex tries to be real with Wendy, and Wendy requests that she move out the way and tries to turn the TV up so she can tune her out. And then we see her father, and he talks about his love for her. And then Wendy gets emotional about missing her mom,
It
Shirley.
just seems like she had the most amazing parents.
Right. They speak with her brother Kevin, who we know she's very close with, and he admits that although he said Wendy didn't have dementia earlier, because he did come out on record and say that when people were interviewing him, he admits that he's not sure what's going on. We do see them go to dinner where, as Nellz talks about, the waiter brings alcohol to the table. They divert and tell the waiter to bring her Coca Cola, and then actually Travis and Kevin end up taking her drink. She's actually at this time trying to convince is it Kevin, or what's the brother name?
Travis, you talking
No, what's the brother name again? Oh, his name is Kevin. I guess that's my everybody named Kevin. That's what I'm realizing. Everybody loves Kevin. Anyway,
about?
but yeah, so basically her brother is trying to convince her, like, Wendy, we're having such a good time. It is okay. And basically trying to resist her demands. So then she has a boat ride planned for the family the next day and has invited the podcast crew. Wendy's father asks, what she wants, and she says that she wants to be back on TV. Kevin asks his mother to stay in Miami, and she ends up or insists on going back to New York. And then when she gets back to New York, she's lonely as hell and admits that she's lonely as hell. And then 5 days after she returns, she claims that she's moving. And then we find her in the room with the huge ass mimosa for breakfast. And she's crying about missing her son and her family. Will realizes this is more than he can handle, and she's not getting better by herself. Um, and that basically she was drunk in that moment. So production gets on Will and says that they think that he finally realized she needs help, and you could tell he was a bit offended. But it was like, no, we've been seeing it, watching it, and you're here every day. So no, we think that you just woke up, and I'm kind of with production on that. Um, and then he says that he found her with a huge empty liquor bottle hiding in the bathroom. And he just doesn't think she cares at this point. They decided to stop filming for her safety. Finally, the guardianship put her in a facility, and the family doesn't really know where she is. They talk to the family, and she's talked to her family, but they haven't seen her, and they've been blocked from getting any information. And then they finally get to sit down and talk to the sister Wanda. She reiterates that she just wants Wendy to be healthy and happy. She said that, they did talk 3 months ago. And then while they're filming Wanda, Alex actually gets a call from Wendy, and I guess she has a question about something, which makes me think that they're trying to work now that she's of a sound mind and at a better mental state. I think that Wendy is trying to basically go up and speak for herself and say that I want to be with my family. I don't want to do this anymore. So hopefully that'll happen. And her family sounds like they're more than willing to step up and be her guardian. So, and hopefully we can get rid of some of these Sean's and Wills and that aren't really doing anything, in my opinion. And so, as we know, 2024, her guardianship is up for review, and we are just all hopeful that Wendy will come home happy and healthy. And
They didn't say when though, right?
no, they didn't say when in 2024. I would imagine if it started July 2024,
Oh,
2022,
okay.
it's probably
Oh,
not going to be to July.
okay.
But yeah, y'all. So sorry, that was heavy. It was long. I was able to get 4 hours in an hour and 4 minutes. You're welcome. But
You're welcome.
right, but no, thank you guys for tuning in. It's a sad story. Prayers up for Wendy and her family, and we're just hoping that she's at a better place, and we actually do get to see her, you know, out and be healthy. So yeah, if you haven't already, please make sure that you hit that like button.
Make sure you comment
Make sure you subscribe.
and hit the notification bell.
And make sure you're following us on all the platforms, the TikTok, the Twitter, the Facebook, and the IG. And yeah, y'all, we will catch you. Well, this won't continue, but we want to thank you for tuning in to Where is Wendy Williams? And yeah, catch us other some of our other recaps that we got going on. But yeah, we love you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.